from a more traditional back-to-the-basket situation too. Fundamental basketball and bank shots are often knocked for not being, quote, sexy, but Duncan's ability to create space while spinning over either shoulder is objectively beautiful.
It'll be to the glass. It's so automatic. You know where he's headed. You just can't stop him.
Still, all those bank shots were available for one simple reason. Defenders were terrified of Duncan's ability to blow by them and get easy buckets near the rim, especially early in his career when he was one of the quickest big men in the league.
Oh! Over Divac goes Duncan!
Everybody's invited to have a meal together. Having a solid standing dinner makes your whole table better. Turn on the game and go and grab your ball. Taco mix it through the uprights like a winning field goal. Nothing wrong to a mix of the taco standing up. Now you want it, you got it. Oh, the Paso standing stuff.
Oh my goodness!
They had to protect against his rim attacks, which is why those jab steps were so effective. And that's the thing. Timmy had some of the best big man footwork this league has ever seen. He had incredible balance for his size. He had every pivot in his bag. Inside pivots, reverse pivots, step throughs, up and unders, and he was also super savvy. He could use force to get his man off balance and rise up for clean looks. He could use quickness to beat them to spots, or he could just knock down that legendary bank shot. And if teams dared to double-team Duncan, that's when his fantastic passing abilities came into play. The Spurs loved to post up Duncan, then use cutters to threaten the bucket. He accumulated over 4,200 assists during his career with clever passes like this. Even in an era dominated by iconic bigs like Shaq, Kevin Garnett, Rasheed Wallace, and Yao Ming, Duncan stood out and won more rings than all of those greats. Timmy's remarkable longevity and consistency truly set him apart. He made the All-Star
and off as well.
And all 5 of Duncan's championship runs featured a seemingly endless array of big-time buckets that started with his teammates just feeding him an entry pass down to the left block. In just his second season, the Spurs beat the Knicks in the 1999 Finals. Duncan was the Finals MVP at age 22 because the Knicks had no answers for all those post moves. He put it all together in the closeout game, scoring 31 points to go with 9 rebounds.
Duncan spins and hits off the glass. He's almost too good. 7-footer with a feathery touch.
After the Lakers won the next 3 titles, Duncan and the Spurs won it all again in 2003, when Duncan absolutely dominated the New Jersey Nets en route to his second Finals MVP award. The big fundamentals per game stats in that series are mind-boggling. He averaged 24 points, 17 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 blocks per game. Duncan's dominance fueled the Spurs dynasty, which peaked as San Antonio won 2 more titles by 2007. By the time 2014 came around, Duncan was near the end, but he had one more ring to chase, and his signature moves came in very handy in one of the most clutch moments of the Spurs' final championship run. A hyper-intense overtime period in Game 6 of the 2014 Western Conference Finals.
Duncan working hard to get inside. A beautiful move by Tim Duncan. We're down to a half minute left in overtime. Duncan now has a mismatch with Jackson. And gets the roll.
Well, you want to know why he's the best power forward in the game?
Even at 36, Duncan remained the Spurs' go-to weapon in clutch situations, and he propelled his team into the NBA Finals, where they'd upend LeBron James and the Heatles for their 5th title. Duncan's relatively subdued demeanor kept him out of the headlines, but his performance on the court kept the Spurs at the top of the Western Conference standings for years. The Spurs won 50 games or more in every one of his 19 seasons. He never missed the postseason, and looking back at his playoff battles against Shaq's Lakers, Dirk's Mavs, Nash's Suns, Durant's Thunder, and LeBron's Heat teams reveals just how sustainable his greatness was. And of course, those 5 rings are unforgettable. But if you're like me, when you close your eyes and think about the greatest power forward of all time, you'll always picture him over on the left block, knocking down that legendary bank shot.